With just 2 weeks until its release, and on the heels of a very successful beta that included over 2 million players, what's the verdict on Titanfall? I'm Ghost Robo, and let's find out. This game that has been heralded as the savior of the shooter space, that has been splooged over by just about every outlet at just about every event, that has been hyped beyond any huge level of hype, was finally put in the hands of the public and the players in the form of a pretty large beta on Xbox One and PC. Now, I had the chance to play a boatload of it on Xbox One, a bunch of matches, a bunch of time, over a bunch of days, and I also observed the reactions and responses of other players and the online gaming community in general. People's opinions seem to fall in one of two very distinct camps, and those are the people that think Titanfall is the second coming, and the people that think Titanfall is nothing special, just more Call of Duty. Do not want to detach me from the hype train before it crashes. This game was developed by Respawn, a studio that hatched from Infinity Ward, the makers of Modern Warfare. There has been so much buzz around what they were building, it's almost incomprehensible, and you have to imagine that the goal of these guys was to create something that challenged Call of Duty, that went up and reinvigorated the shooter space, or at least did significant body damage to the current contenders. It's the first real entry into this arena in a very long time. You've got Battlefield, you've got Call of Duty, they duke it out every year. They sell millions of copies. Call of Duty is the king of all kings when it comes to video games. And this is a legitimate entrant into that battle royale. They have brought their card to the table, and all the similarities can be drawn. I can see where people are coming from on both sides of the coin. The game has lots of guns, it has lots of soldiers, maps, and multiplayer. It doesn't really revolutionize the shooter space in any way. It doesn't really totally change up the game in any way, so you could safely say that it's not going to be anything really special. But then you hear everyone talk about it, you hear what they say, you hear how much they love it, you hear everybody across the board pretty much who is doing concrete coverage of Titanfall saying this is the one to watch out for. And I can safely also say that I fall in that camp. This game is incredibly awesome. Sure, it does not do anything drastically different in terms of visuals, in terms of structure, in terms of foundation, but the mechanics and gameplay that they have put forth are spectacular. And most of that starts with the movement. I don't know that I can ever go back to a traditional ground-based shooter again. This idea of soldiers flying through the air, of leaping into second-story windows, of traversing rooftops, of ascending buildings is just so freaking awesome. There's nothing quite like it. And perhaps it doesn't convey itself enough through video footage. You need to play it. You need to experience the tightness of the controls. This is a game that, at times to me, looked a little bit complicated, a little bit sketchy. How would it feel to be these Titans? How would it feel to be these pilots with jetpacks? I'll be honest, I didn't even grasp the height of the jetpack jump until I actually played it. It seemed something that was variable and kind of tough to gauge, but let me tell you, it feels perfect. I'm somebody that's been disappointed in Call of Duty and Battlefield for a number of years. I'm also somebody that really enjoys multiplayer shooters. I really enjoyed Black Ops. I really enjoyed Modern Warfare. I really enjoyed Battlefield 3. I really enjoyed Bad Company 2. I like a lot of these games, and this one definitely rolls the dice and hits Snake Eyes everywhere. There is not one part of this game that I feel to be lackluster. Those AI that everyone thought might be dumb, the grunts, I admit I thought it was a pretty stupid inclusion. Why are these guys here? They're here for a very good reason. They completely subconsciously control the battlefield. By having these AI dispersed around the maps, you not only create more things to do, there's never a down moment, you also force people to be constantly on the lookout for players. It dilutes the goodness of camping. There's no real total obsession with camping and sniping, because you have these mobs that are running around that you can get points from if you're constantly moving. You also have these mobs that are constantly moving to distract and obscure players running through, and it also adds this kind of new element of having to discern who are the players and who are the grunts if you want maximum points. And I love the fact that you still contribute to your team by killing these grunts. It's brilliant. It's brilliant on multiple levels. It's great for new players. It gives them something that they can achieve and feel good about. And it's good for veteran players as well, because you need to make decisions if you want to spend your time racking up a few points against a bunch of grunts and specters, or if you want to go exclusively for players, if you want to pay attention to the grunts, see where they're shooting, and use that as your radar to find other pilots. It's absolutely awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I have not seen a negative implication of it yet. And the Titans, that could be the best part, and we haven't even gotten to it. You know, you look at this game, you read about it in Game Informer, you see some trailers, and you're like, how could they balance a game where you have these little soldiers running around with, you know, machine guns and SMGs and blah, 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 and then you have these giant Titans. Somehow, I kid you not, they create a game where they are so balanced that I have more power almost as a pilot. That makes no sense. It sounds totally incongruous. You probably don't even believe me, but I will tell you, I feel like I am almost stronger as a pilot, and that is awesome. Granted, there are significant advantages to being in a Titan. Significant. You can wreck up a battlefield. You can tear down pilots. You can duke it out like Rock'em Sock'em Robots style with these huge mechs, and it feels massive. The scale is great. They pick you up, they put you in their chest, and you're going to war. But at the same time, it's just as enjoyable to be a pilot. And for me, possibly more so. That mobility, running across walls, quickly moving across a map is crazy. And developing sort of these runs, almost speed runs, almost Mirror's Edge lines. You're making your own pathways through the map that previously were only dictated based on the lanes decided by the developers. Now, of course, you're still playing Team Deathmatch, you're still playing Capture and Hold, but the moment-to-moment instances, the moment-to-moment occurrences, the moment-to-moment fights are really captivating. And here's what all that movement and all those Titans also do. It completely reshuffles the player pool. The same strategies do not work across these games. What worked in Call of Duty, what worked in Battlefield, will not work the same way in Titanfall. You'll have to readjust. The people who are crushing and dominating the scoreboards in COD and BF4 are no longer going to be able to do that with the same mindset. They'll have to change mentality, change and modify their practices, and that's exciting. It gives new players a chance, and also people in the middle of the pack a chance to ascend to the top and not feel constantly pushed down by the same overpowering select few. They've also thrown in burn cards, a thing that in my mind kind of replaces kill streaks. When I first heard that there were no kill streaks and that Titans would be the only additional thing you could acquire during a match, I was like, that sort of sucks. Call of Duty always engaged me with kill streaks, the desire to keep fighting on for more and more and more, the ability to have a concrete marker for your success, to say, hey, I got 7 kills in a row, so I get this. I got 12 kills in a row, I get this. And that's not really here, but it's okay. By making everyone have the ability to access their Titan, it balances the playing field and removes frustration. There's nothing more annoying than getting gunned down unceremoniously and unannounced by a chopper. When you die from a Titan or you die from a pilot, you knew they were coming, you knew where they were, it makes sense, it seems fair and good. But they didn't just remove it and make things seem more fair, they also added their own piece of gameplay in these burn cards. And they're called burn cards because you burn them, and you go through them very fast. They last 1 life, they are a quick boost, a quick benefit that gives you something like a souped up gun, or faster speed, or more XP, or docks time off of your Titan fall. They're things that affect your game, but don't totally allow you to dominate. Sure, you can put together some interesting combinations, but 1 per life, and it's gone. So even if you have a supercharged moment where you get 6 kills in a row, first of all, it's within the realm of what is already existing on the battlefield. There's no burn card that gives you a, lightning strike. There's no burn card that makes everyone, turn to ashes. There's no nuclear bomb burn card. They're all within the mechanics set forth by the game that you have come to know and come to expect. And some people are just going to be a little souped up, and then it's gone. And so there's this huge risk reward of finding lucky burn cards that might do something cool, like summon a Strider Titan immediately, or really soup up your Titan weapon. But if you use it on a turn when you die instantly, it goes away, and you're like, shoot. It gives a little bit of a gamble to the whole multiplayer scene. It allows you to kind of mix up your class on the fly. That's something that's pretty hard to do. How often do people swipe out and swap out specific perks and stuff on the go? I never did, but here I have a chance to modify my loadout based on the way the battle is going in a significant and meaningful way. The maps are really well designed as well. We've seen 2 of them, both very different, both similar in some ways, but they have their defining characteristics that set them apart and allow for different kinds of battles. You'll notice that Titans behave differently on Angel Way versus Fracture. If you've seen beta footage, if you've played it yourself, you will remember that how pilots interact with the terrain is very different on both. Angel Way, you have a lot of wall running, you have quick ascension of buildings, you have jumping in and out of windows, whereas Fracture is more of an invisibility game, and I haven't even brought that up. The perks here, the tools, whatever you want to call them, are really nicely integrated. Invisibility is something that can be totally OP in a lot of games. You can make it so that the person is completely unseen and they're getting stealth kills everywhere, or they could make it where it's completely useless and you don't want to even wear it. Here, invisibility, it feels like it's done so precisely, so pristinely, like they must have tested this game for ages, because the time with which you stay invisible, the amount of shimmer that you have, the difference between how invisible you are to a pilot versus how invisible you are to a Titan, and the different things that pilots can pull off, sort of their trump cards that they have against Titans, being able to rodeo them, you know, being able to run through their legs. There's just a sense of scale, a sense of awe almost in these battles that really is quite unlike anything we've experienced in the traditional modern military shooter as far as I can remember back. The game does have a few shortcomings. The visuals aren't as perfect and beautiful as I would like them to be. It does feel more like a cross-gen game, which it is, than a true next-gen graphical experience. I think there is a little bit of a concern with the flow of battle being so smashy. Everyone kind of goes in, gets some quick kills. If you're not moving, you feel like you're missing out, especially on attrition, which is a point-based mode. You need to get 250 points as fast as possible, and it feels like if you're standing still, you're wasting an opportunity to gather points for your own score, and that slightly concerns me, but I didn't have a single unfun match. I did not have a match where I was bummed, bored, or booed myself out of the game. I always felt like I was contributing, I always felt like I was having fun, and I even enjoyed the alternate modes like Last Titan Standing. That's a mode that sounds completely stupid. It sounds like something that would be a throwaway effort in another dumb shooter game. Like, you have these giant mechs, you're going to drop them into the battlefield, they each have 1 life, and they're all going to go into each other and fight and blah, blah, blah. It sounded so dumb to me. My friend suggested I try it out. I loved it. Because there's tactics even within the Titans. They have abilities and perks too. They have the ability to dash. They have the ability to sprint. They have the ability to duck. They have rocket launchers or homing rockets. They have shields that can absorb bullets. They have smoke clouds that electrocute pilots. They have a lot of things of their own. It's almost like, it truly is like, you're picking 2 loadouts. And so the combinations can become very, very large because of those 2 things. So there aren't as many guns in Titanfall as there is in something like Call of Duty Ghosts or Battlefield 4, but this game is focused much more on mechanical enjoyment every match than it is on a My Raid list of guns or perks. There's less of them. There is less. But I think because of the interaction between your Titan, it's almost like you have a pet. And how are you going to develop the 2 of you together to coordinate for complete and utter devastation on the battlefield? This game is brilliant. I went in with plenty of skepticism. Anytime something is so heavily hyped, you begin to worry. Anytime I get a new game that everyone has loved, I am very nervous. Because I fear that I will not love it as much as they do. I fear that the hype will be insurmountable. I fear that what's on the disc will not be able to live up to what has already been said. But in this case, it does. Titanfall is a super awesome, amazing experience, and don't let anyone who says otherwise distract you from a chance to try out what probably will be the next giant game in the video game industry. I'm not saying that it overtakes Call of Duty this year. Maybe it doesn't ever overtake Call of Duty, but this is a serious challenger to the throne. It's more fun than the recent iteration from the Call of Duty franchise. It's more fun than the recent iteration from the Battlefield franchise. It gives EA a killer app, and also Microsoft a system seller. This is significant. Sony right now is destroying Microsoft in sales, comparing PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I don't know that this will be something that completely reverses that arrow, but I definitely know it will tilt it considerably. The game is available for Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PC, and because the console space is so huge, the marketplace for these two new systems is proving to be very, very, very large and lucrative. I think this has significant effect. Regardless, though, regardless of its overall impact on the industry, as a player, as a gamer, I think this is awesome. I think you should check it out. I think people that are negative on it are just being negative because they don't know what it's like yet. Perhaps there are some people that have played it and don't like it, and that's cool, that's fine. If shooters aren't your thing, I don't know that it's going to completely win you over. I don't know that it's going to change your mind. But if you've ever enjoyed an online multiplayer game, if you've ever enjoyed freeform movement in a game, if you've ever enjoyed shooting guys up and trying out perks and using new guns and feeling like you are awesome when you're duking it out with your friends and foes, I highly recommend Titanfall. And my final verdict is that it's incredible. I cannot wait for the final release. I think this game is going to sell extremely well, review extremely well, and last for an extremely long time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for lots more coverage of Titanfall when it releases on March 11th. Guys and girls, I hope this has been informative. I hope it has been enlightening. And until next time, everybody, thanks again. Drink some hot chocolate. Have a fantastic day. And we will see you all later.